Did you know that 1970s was the decade which actually decided the future of a lot of watchmaking companies? Well, at that point in time, the world was tipped towards mechanical watches until the time when CEH designed the world's first Quartz watch. And soon after, Longines announced that they would come out with a Quartz watch, but it was actually Seiko which came out with the Astron, was proactive in the approach. This led to a cascading effect which is also infamously known as the Quartz crisis, which actually shifted the world from mechanical to quartz watches. And Timex responded really well in 1972 with their archival Q Timex Quartz watch in the form of a tonneau-shaped design. 70s was also an era when watches were highly inspired by motorsporting and racing designs, and Timex responded again with their Q Chronograph watch on the same lines. This chronograph watch has stood the winds of change, and that's what we are here to discuss today. And just in case if you are wondering what the Q here stands for, well, that's Quartz in capital letters. Now, while the Q series here boasts of many Quartz, their GMTs, their automatics and their reissues, we are here to talk about certain particular variants in their chronograph lineup. Precisely 9 variants that I could find on Timex website. So let's quickly breeze through these variants, which includes a panda in a steel and a leather strap, a reverse panda in a steel and a leather strap again, and a blue dial watch with a blue leather strap. Following closely are the cream and rose gold variants in a leather strap, and concluding the list here is a black gold variant in steel strap and a gold black variant in a brown strap. Confusing, but it's good to be aware of what's out there and what you can buy from. So I have 2 watches on my radar today, including this super cool midnight blue watch and then this rose gold tone with a leather strap. Quickly hit the subscribe button and do keep an eye out on our Instagram page for some really good content. This Q Chrono watch reeks of those age-old motorsporting designs that were prevalent in the 70s when chronos were actually used to calculate speeds. Well, this one is a rose gold dial with a black tachymeter bezel and 3 chrono subdials with a slanted date window between 4 and 5 pm. On the other hand, you have this midnight blue dial with a midnight blue bezel and a similar colored strap to go around with these white dial inserts in the form of chronos. The hands and indices here are baton shaped while being filled with a basic loom. The seconds hand is a lollipop hand here though. The indices here, as you can see, are thick and applied onto the dial, which gives it a very solid look. The case is again made of stainless steel in brushed and polished finish both. While the dimensions include a diameter of 40 mm with a lug to lug of 46 mm, the thickness is actually 14.5 mm rather than 13.5 mm. The watch weighs averagely, and this makes it modestly sized, but it's chunky at the same time, and you'll realize that once you have it on your wrist. The crystal on this watch is a curved mineral glass which is actually like a dome, quite thick and better than the acrylic that you would find on the Marlin. The glass is nicely curved and gives a clear insight into the dial. Good work here, Timex. The one in blue has contrasting white subdials, while the other one in black that you can see has black sectors. And all the text on this black one is in rose gold, while on this blue one is in white. Time setting here is not that tough, with the first position to change the date and the second one to set the time. The chrono functionality may or may not be as useful in these times, as we all know, but let me explain the dials to you. Moving in the clockwise direction, you have a 24-hour time indicator to know your AMs and PMs. On the 6 o'clock position is the 60-minute chrono counter, and on the 9 o'clock position, you have a 60-second counter. Then you have the central chrono seconds hand on top of all this. Now, using this one is the usual routine where you can press the top pusher to start or stop the chrono. Pressing the bottom one in tandem with the top one will help you split the timer. Turning the watch around will get you to a stainless steel case back, which again houses a quartz movement from Timex, which runs on battery. Changing the battery here is very simple, as you turn this circular knob with a coin and swap the power source. There is a quick release setup to change the straps effortlessly without too much hassle. The straps here are either brown or also in midnight blue, both sourced from Leather Working Group. To know more about LWG, check my Timex Marlin review. Now, this watch is not too large and fits very nicely on my 7-inch wrist and would sit nicely on smaller wrists too. The straps altogether do a pretty decent job and they feel very comfortable to wear. A quick look into the crown and you see it inscribed with the legendary Q logo. Now, if you are expecting a massive water resistance, well, you will be disappointed with just 50 meters of water resistance on this one. But honestly, I am not worried too much about it because I think I'll wear this one more on formal occasions than on a regular Sunday beach trip. Let's quickly have a loop shot to decide how visible it is under the dark, and I have to say it's pretty basic. The Q Chronograph here starts from $13,500, which is approximately $200, and goes all the way up to 90,000 rupees. Well, that's quite exciting in this particularly very exciting category, especially for a market like India, and especially when Timex is famous for manufacturing affordable watches. I mean, it's all nice, but we should have a look at the competition as well. So let me give you 10 watches that I think you should definitely consider if you are buying a watch under 15,000 rupees or around $200. And the rapid fire round here obviously starts with Timex Marlin Chrono, Timex Marlin Automatic, Titan Luna Sun and Moon, Titan Calum Sun and Moon, Borderie Landmaster, Phoebus Eagle Ray GMT, Suggest SU 1780, Citizen Eco Drive, Hull Diver Chrono, and rounding up this list is the Seiko SUR 523. If I did leave any competitors out, that's purposefully done because they didn't make the final cut. To quickly round up the discussion, this particular Timex Q series is very crucial for Timex in their lineup of watches. You have the Marlins, you have the Q series, and then there are so many reissues that have lined up their category really well and did the trick for Timex in the recent past. This watch is a pure treat to the eyes, and I would say this has to be a very good watch for people who are inspired by motor racing designs or whoever wants to buy a sports watch. I mean, there are so many elements and so many levels to this watch that you will find it more compelling to buy this one over the regular Marlin. Well, this looks and wears like a formal watch, even though it might not be one. I personally like to buy multi-purpose watches, and I like to mix it and match it up with different attires for different occasions. Now, I would rate this 8.5 out of 10 on my scale of likability, and I would buy this watch. But if I am buying my first watch under 15,000 rupees, I don't think this would be the one. I personally feel there are better choices, but I would not drop the ball completely on this watch. With so many variants to choose from, I know it's a really tough choice to make, but then you have to make the choice at some point in time, right? What are you wearing today?